長期新世界へもどかしくてもどかしている無我夢中になれるものが欲しい不甲斐ない日でてないなんて可愛くないねコンパクトは勝手にとってオリジナリティやらなきゃやまいで山積みの問題をもっとある赤いで正体を暴いてそのイメージできっとなれるさなりたい自分に探す要望はオーバータイム忘れてた記憶の中でもう一度見られたからいを聞け夢中になれる君今が成長期新世界へ
Talk show, pre-show.
Oh
I
my
almost
God,
messed up.
you almost
I
messed that
almost
up.
messed up. Pre-show. Hello guys, I'm Scarra. I'm joined by Josh. We're the Staples. We got a new special guest today.
What's up, guys?
Why don't you introduce yourself?
Tapplicants, melee coach for Mango, supporter of C9. So I went to watch the games and yeah.
Oh man.
Oh man. Yeah. Anyways, so besides the fact that you guys just got rocked 3-1 by Dignitas, where's your dig gear? You know?
Dude, honestly, I didn't have faith in them to do well this series. I'm not even kidding. Like the series started, I'm like, oh, it'd be cute if they can win 2 games. And yeah.
You should have just had your Dignitas costume in the back. So right when they win, you're just like, oh, I'm a supporter the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh, I should have though. Dude, I know I made a big mistake. When I came here and I saw you in that, I was just like, I should have brought my own stuff.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Well, you still have CLG,
Yes.
which is happening when?
Tomorrow.
Is it tomorrow? Okay.
Tomorrow
so
versus Envy.
Tomorrow you need to bring your CLG stuff.
Yes.
Right? So.
Wait,
prepare for that.
why don't you say I can bring my Envy stuff?
Do you have Envy stuff?
No, I don't.
Does Envy
I
have
like
any?
a lot of their players though, but like, yeah, I just have a ton of CLG stuff.
But yeah, anyways, this is the pre-show, guys. We are going to do the analysis later when Mark gets here. So meanwhile, this is our pre-show. We talk about kind of whatever. And what is there to talk about? You were saying that last night there was SKT versus KT, which is always the telecom war, right? It's like a big deal. And as always, KT fucking scrubs out.
Oh.
Every single time. Because I remember I was up late last night and I was catching up on anime. And I saw that KT was up 2-0. And I was like, oh my god, is KT going to 3-0 SKT? So then I start watching the third game. And then as soon as SKT wins, I was like, this is it, right? It's over.
The moment in time.
And then the fourth game happens. And I was like, nope, I'm going to bed. I'm not staying up for this. And I already knew at that point that the reverse sweep was already done.
Okay, a lot of people are going to ask, and I asked this personally myself, how much League do you watch, Tafo? Because you're like a very like melee-focused person. Like, how much League do you actually watch?
I watch anything SKT and Cloud9 related and anything that they're like, oh, you have to watch this match. I keep track of results, so I probably watch about like 4 to 6 hours of competitive League a week.
That's still pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, that's not bad at all.
And you play a little bit of League as well.
I recently stopped, but like at one point I was like Plat 1, Diamond 5, and then I went downhill. I played X Special on his stream. He tore me a new one in the lane.
That was the point where like you just like lost it. He killed your career before it began.
I was so nervous that like I forward flashed as Janet into his thresh and then he hooked me.
oh god, you remember like the time
the
exactly.
pressure.
So I like playing it for fun, but you know I'm always solo queuing, so you kind of know the fun you have as a support, where you feel like all the issues come out. You can't really control anybody. You can't tell them to stop walking blindly into like their cloud. And so I'm just like, please just use my wards, use my vision, and they're not listening, and it's just like frustrating.
Yeah, solo queue, fun, right?
Dude,
Super fun, right?
come on!
So
I
fun,
actually
right?
love playing League of Legends, especially when I'm winning. And then when I'm losing, I'm just like,
Kill myself.
Next time I'm gonna win. And then when I lose, next time, dude, tomorrow. I had a lot of those days recently, but yesterday I went 9-3, and I'm just like, I'm back. We're back at it.
What rank are you at currently?
I just hit Masters again, but before I went from like a free fall. Like I was like challenger, almost challenger on my other account, and then like both the accounts dropped a little bit. Then like one decayed to Diamond 1, the other one actually dropped from 300 to Diamond 2, and like literally like I was just like, I'm just awful at this game. That is super bad.
Did Delta Fox have something to do with that?
Oh, I wanna be able to blame Delta Fox, but no, I just think like the meta changed, and I was like, for me personally, I just have to find certain champions I like to play during each meta. So this is like a good meta where it's like I found out I love playing Rammus, I love playing Urgot and Talon. And I'm just like, okay, those are the champions I'm just gonna spam because that's what I want to play. Is that
Mark? No, it's Miles.
God.
I got excited and then it was just Miles.
I was just like, why am I excited? There's no way that's Mark. It's like 5 minutes into the broadcast.
Yeah. And it didn't have that looming presence of Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the looming presence of Mark. I don't know.
the cloud of kind of just negativity and assholeisms, you know?
Yeah.
I'm just like, it just wasn't as loud as Mark. Because when Mark opens the door, he like lets you know he's there. He's
Yeah,
like,
he fucking stomps through.
yeah, he like kicks it open. I'm here. Kind of.
Miles is like, I'm here.
Yeah.
He doesn't even say anything.
He doesn't say anything. He just gets his McDonald's and goes upstairs. And we were just complimenting him as like one of the only people who were who got to the finals. Right, we were talking a little bit about the playoff statistics in the NA LCS and how literally this is the first time that C9 has lost to anyone besides TSM ever in the playoffs.
That sounds like a taco stat for League.
I know, right? So
and it's great because when you think about it, like this might be the new beginning. Every playoffs outside of the first season in LCS, the first split, has had only 3 teams: COG, C9, and TSM in the finals. So this could be the season. And then the 4th team, Good Game University, featuring that man up there.
Yep.
So the best stat to say about Miles is that he's one of no team without Miles has ever made it that wasn't on C9, COG, or TSM. Hear that?
Bring back daydreaming, bring back daydreaming. Dude, Blitz is in the meta.
Blitz is meta.
Yeah, we saw some Blitz play today. What else is going on? Well, I was gonna say in the world, but that would get into some political nonsense.
I mean, honestly, like we were explaining to Tafo beforehand. He's like, "What do you do on the show?" We just talk about whatever we want.
We just talk about literally whatever.
So I feel like you're a specialist in Melee. What do you want to talk about?
Well, since C9 lost the league, I'll tell you something that C9 didn't lose in, and that's Melee.
Oh, okay.
So shouts to Mango for winning last weekend at Super Smash Con.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch it?
I did end up watching it.
I only watched the 64 challenge. I think was that last week?
The combo video.
The
combo video. I only watched that part. I didn't actually watch the.
Did you watch Prince's Yoshi combo?
Yeah.
Oh my
he's
God.
so good.
Oh my God, Prince's combo videos are just like the most absurd thing ever.
Yeah, I saw his competition. I'm like, oh, it's okay. And I see his stuff. I'm like, oh, he brought game. Like these guys are like preschoolers, and this guy's like LeBron, like just dunking on kids.
Yeah. Oh God, it was glorious.
Did you primarily play 64 out of like your experience?
I actually primarily played Melee and Brawl. Like almost exclusively Melee and Brawl. And I actually like. I had a period of time where it was like in high school where after every day in high school I go to my friend's house, we play Brawl and we play Tekken. And I would just do that the entire year. So like I'm actually really bad at both games. But it didn't help me at all. But I like both games. I'm knowledgeable about both games.
Did you ever have that coming of competitive age moment where like you're playing with your friends, you're thinking you're pretty good, and you're like, let me find a tournament, and then you enter, and then you realize you're not very good?
I never got to that point because like I was struggling to like consistently wave dash with all the characters, and then I would like look online at like good players and be like, oh, they're actually good. Like I bet, you know what, they're too good for me. It'd be like when I watched StarCraft Pros. I was like playing StarCraft, oh, I'm okay, and I watched like Boxer play, and I'd be like, oh, I'm really bad. Like, let me just stick to like my own stuff. Let me stick to like Diablo.
Yeah.
You know, it's really funny because now we have the day of YouTube. There was, when Melee first came out, YouTube wasn't a thing. So I feel like everybody who came to a tournament pre like 07, they're like, yeah, I'm like really good at the game.
I'm the neighborhood hero.
Yeah,
you know?
and then they go and they get totally exposed and so funny. But now that YouTube's a thing and Twitch is a thing, everybody kind of knows like, hey, I'm like not that good.
Yeah.
Actually, that's completely true because like I'd always meet people like from other like friend groups that would be like, oh yeah, I play Smash here and there, like, and then it'd be like I'd play them, I'd be like, you suck, and like I know how much I suck, but if I could beat you, you must suck, and like, oh god.
Well, that was the kind of interesting thing about video games in general back in early 2000s was that the internet wasn't well established, so there would just be rumors that you hear, right? Like rumors that you can do these things. Because I remember when GameCube came out, I didn't have a GameCube, but my friend did, so we'd go over and we'd play Melee and stuff, and you know we're like, oh, I think we're pretty good, and then we hear about like wave dashing, and we're like, oh my god, what's wave dashing? And they're like, oh, it's like this cheat code that you do, and it like does these crazy things, and we're like, oh my god, that's bullshit. Like, how dare these people do wave dashing? That's gross. Why are you breaking the game? It's not the way it was supposed to be played, and we're meanwhile like rolling left and right like crazy, and we're like, this is the way Melee was meant to be played, you know? And in general, right? Like not just Melee, but also in Pokemon. I remember all the rumors about like how you can get Mew, and it's like
that's what I was just about to say. Like I fell for that shit. Like when I was a kid, I was like, okay, to get Mew, I have to like catch like these because for me, I'm like, this is all BS. And then I found out how to like do duplicate with unknown, and I'm just like, it's all true.
Yeah. So that was like the oh my god.
Mew. Yeah. And it's so like I spent like weeks being like, okay, maybe this is the right Mew trick. Like you gotta go to like this island, walk around like in a semicircle at exactly this angle, and at 421 in game, like press A B start. It's like it didn't work. I must have messed up.
Yeah, and then the game breaks, or like the classic one that I remember is that you were supposed to get surf without letting the SSN leave, and then you let the SSN leave, and you're able to like stay in there and then surf to where SSN is, and there's a truck, and then I remember everyone saying that that's where you find Mew, and I did all this fucking nonsense, and I was so disappointed, and that's kind of like where I learned that you can't trust anything on the internet.
You know, it's like actually funny. There supposedly is a way to get Mew in the game, by like exploiting some memory hacks.
Yeah, so if you
you
talk to the guy in Viridian and you like fly to Lavender Town or something like that, and then when you walk through the path that goes from Lavender Town to Saffron, apparently it triggers something in the memory that allows you to get Mew.
But imagine telling somebody that's been jaded by like all the other
but still I would have done it as a kid because I'm like, oh my god, there's a chance that I could get Mew. I'm doing it, you know. Oh god.
So, you know, growing up, Smash Brothers was that one game that a lot of people grew up with where it's like, oh, like I'm the best in the neighborhood, like I want to challenge you. But for you in League, do you have those like random group of friends who don't play League that say like, oh, I have a friend that's really good, you guys should challenge each other? Do you guys have those type of interactions?
It's not that point anymore, because if there's ever like a situation where like we talk between friend groups, it'd be like they know who I am. Like if they play League, it's like they at least would like Google like, oh yeah, have you ever heard about the person named Scarra? And if they haven't, they Google it, and then they'd be like, oh, he used to play professionally and he streams. I'm probably not as good as this guy, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas like, yeah, before, if there wasn't like the internet, I'd probably be like, oh yeah, you know, you must be pretty good. Why aren't we money, man?
But like this hide on bush guy's pretty good. Wow.
But like in season 2, season 1, would you get a lot of challenges?
There were people who like would be like 1v1 me, and I'd be like, no, because I just didn't see a use for it. I'm like, I literally, anyone who challenged me to 1v1 back then, I'd just be like, yeah, sure, I'll play you. Just queue up in my game and find me, because I'll be at like rank 1. Because like at season 1, I was like top 5 on the ladder, and so like, of course they couldn't do that because they sucked. So like it wasn't. I would just say that, but like, I don't know. I never really found a reason to ever be like, I'm better than you. I'm gonna prove I'm better than like this random person out there.
I'm always in this like awkward spot since I have a lot of non-gamer friends, and they're like, "Oh, like, do you want to play?" And I'm like, it's kind of that dilemma I have in my head. Do I play my best and like and make it awkward, or do I just like pretend to like play at their level so that everybody has a good time?
I think in that situation for me, I play like a joke character, like a character that's not very good, and just like have a good time and try to like style on people, because like that's probably the best way to do it. Whereas like, I don't know, I'm sure there's some people who are just like, I'm going to just embarrass you. You're gonna get 4-stocked all the time, but like,
I'm gonna make you not want to play this game again.
Exactly.
Apparently, what Xpecial did to Tafo.
Oh god.
It got to the point where some of my friends knew, and then I would do whatever I could. I'd play the worst character, I'd play 1-on-3, I'd play one-handed, and no matter what I did, like I would just whoop them. And it just got to the point where they gave up on video games after they played with me.
Oh wait, really?
Yeah. Tafo.
You crushed their dreams. Wait, you play one?
I didn't realize you were so
1v3. And you would just like spank these guys.
They were so bad, but like it was just not even close.
Oh my god!
I mean, these aren't people that could like kind of
like killer.
Yeah, you're like the childhood bully, like the bully on like the bully of the street, man.
Tavo holding up these kids.
Yeah,
if you lose to me, I'm gonna take your court.
You're the thing that's like keeping back esports. Like we want to go mainstream, and Tafo's like, hold up a sec. You think you guys can play? Just like beat them back.
Yeah, beat them with a smile.
Yeah,
they're gonna have to get used to losing, right? Losing is part of it.
You're the entry level into losing. Yeah. You're just, oh man, they'll always remember you.
Yes, they still talk about that story. It's like been over 10 years.
They're still so upset over it that
he crushed my dreams of becoming a professional Melee player. That Tafo guy.
Well, my very first tournament actually. was in San Jose, and that's where Isaiah also lived. And it was best of one, single elimination, and I got paired with Isaiah as the round 1 bracket. Isaiah back then was a legend.
Oh, yeah.
And I got 5-stocked, and that was my first experience in tournament.
Oh my god!
It was,
Did you know who he was at the time?
I did. I looked
okay.
I looked at his videos of like really old MLG.
Yeah.
He still looked clearly faster than everybody else.
Yeah, yeah.
And like he was doing just everything. I didn't know how to DI, so everything looked like a combo video.
Right.
So it was just like
So let's for anyone who doesn't know who Isaiah is, can you kind of explain who he is?
so like Isaiah is a Super Smash Bros. 64 legend, and in the early days of Melee, like he was just insanely good, ahead of his time, like knew how to move, like pioneered Captain Falcon, and did all these cool combos before everybody else could. And so like he was like probably top 3 in the world in the early days of Melee.
Yeah. Kind of like Scarra was, right?
Yeah, before I just like, whew, whew, instantly fell off.
You know what? They should just watch the documentary.
Yeah,
Watch
no,
the Smash documentary.
That's actually literally why I started playing Melee. It was the Smash documentary. Have you seen it?
Yo, of course I've seen that. That documentary proved to me that like there could be good documentaries in like the esport or gaming scene.
Yeah.
Because before then, I had seen like a bunch of really bad documentaries about games, and I was just like, oh god, is this gonna be another one? And it's like, oh no, it's actually pretty good.
Did you ever have like? So you were in the top right from the get-go, from what I imagine from League. Did you have any like role model, like I want to steal moves from this guy, or this guy's like insanely good, or?
I actually like for League of Legends, like I'd role models in other games beforehand, because the reason why I was like good at League at the very beginning is because I used to play Han like decently high level beforehand, and I switched to League really early.
Yeah.
And before that, I used to play like 3v3 Arena, also at decently high levels. Like in each of those games, I had people that I liked I looked up to. Like for Han, I looked up to like Chu. If you know anything about Chu, or in that game, he was a guy. Angry Testy and Chu were just like monsters. Yeah, Chu 8. We're just like literally Chu 8 was the best player in that game for like 2 years straight. Just unbelievably good player. I also had another guy I looked up to. This is a sounds. His name was Sniper Dad 420. He was like the #1 ricer in Han, like just straight up like the best farming player. And just in any game,
They call him Ricer.
in any game, he was like just.
That's not racist or anything.
Hey, this was like in a pre-esports era.
Sniper Dad 420. I'm imagining this guy wearing a fucking rice hat. He's like, I'm the best Ricer.
And the thing is like I used to play with Nia and Tanso as well, and he like kind of emulated his play around like this guy, because this guy was so good at farming, and Nia would do this too. And it was like a running joke that like when you played against Nia, you gank his lane and then ward the jungle and he'd AFK, which he did once, I think. He just like left the game because he just got hard camped. So that was Han. I went to, and then I played World of Warcraft. I played a lot against Hafu, Glix, and Reagan. And I used to think Reagan, which didn't get much he didn't get noticed very well because he was never very public like the other people on this team. I thought Glix and Hafu especially, super popular.
Yeah.
Whereas like Reagan, I thought was like just the best warrior in the game, period. And to the point where like if you played high level WoW Arena at the time and you played against them, he had this saying, you can't spell Reagan without RNG, because he would be the best Storm Herald like mace stun procer I've ever played against. Because in that game you get the mainstream turns and you get mace stunned. There's a percentage chance with every ability that when you have a hammer equipped that you would stun the other player. And for him, he'd get triple procs in a row and just instantly the mainstream return all the way to 0 on the first 4 hits. And I'd just be like, you're a god. But he was also like the best player. And then League of Legends, Big Fat LP, first 2 years playing the game was just widely considered to be the best player ever. Like just period, in any way, shape, or form. He was ahead of his time in like so many different facets. Everyone looked up to him. The Korean players were just like, this guy's so good. Like, everyone looked up to GG.
Okay, so I got a follow-up question for you. So Smash documentary, it went through like the early parts of Melee history. They highlighted 7 to 8 players in it. If we were to just look at season 1 to season 3, which is very well covered for like League esports, who are the 7 people you'd cover in NA League?
Oh, of course it'd be like Doublelift, Xpecial, Dyrus, Reggie, Hotshot.
I think Big Fat deserves a mention.
Big Fat LP. I'm missing
Saint, maybe?
Oh no, Saint was actually a monster. It'd
Yeah.
be Saint, and then
That's 7.
that's 7.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good coverage.
Oh, Chauster.
Oh, yeah.
Chauster needs a mention too
Yeah,
somewhere.
Chaucer would be good. So like 8. Those 8, I'm down. I think those 8 are great.
Yeah, okay. I don't remember the full 8, but in each of the episodes of the Smash documentary, they had like a phrase that described each of the players: the robot, the natural. Like,
Oh god,
Big Fat LP. What was he known for?
he was just the best. It'd be like when you try to define a characteristic of a player that he was good at, like Big Fat Gigi was just good at being good. Like when
It
you're
sounds like you're like they're winning until they're losing.
yeah, no, and like legitimately, when you talk about like the old days and like when you played against him, he was just like that good. Like he would play like just random his pick and just beat people in the game. Like actually, could you just do that?
Was he just mechanically better?
It was like not only mechanically better, like
the goodest.
he understood the game at a better level than other people at the time. And similar to Chaucer, like when you think of Chaucer, you like the phrase that you described, the brain.
The brain,
The
yeah.
brain.
Because he'd
The
be
thinker.
like, yeah, he just way ahead of his time. And to be honest, he was. Like when I
Yeah.
talked to him, like he was talking about stuff that they talk about now, which people are explaining, like, you know, sides of pressure, how they get picked, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Way back when, like way back in season 1 and 2, he knew that.
I mean, if most famously, right, that he was the guy who trained Doublelift to not be an idiot.
yeah, and Doublelift's saying would be like,
The mechanics.
yeah, the mechanics, like all brawn, no brain.
Yeah.
Right? And he got a brain like over the years as he developed. But
Yeah.
back then, like actually like no all brawn, no brain kind of stuff.
So how did that? Because I imagine so with Mango, I call him Mango Charizard as a joke. Because then I'm Ash, like he just blows fire in my face when I try to give him advice.
Yeah. Charizard is loafing around. Charizard doesn't feel like doing what you're saying, Tafo.
So like I have to get him to think about map picks and like just not run and die. Like how well received were those macro kind of chatter back in like season 1, season 2? Or did people just think Chaucer was a freak? Like
I think the idea of macro didn't like people. The way people even trained for the game was like, okay, what like scrims weren't a thing. So like it'd be like, oh, we're gonna get together and we'll just like go play a couple games with this other team. Like we play like 6 games a week before the tournament. All right, I think we're good.
Yeah.
We good? And like I remember at the time TSM got a gaming house and we were just like, those freaks, a gaming house? Yeah, like that's gonna work. They got it in New York. Jesus, dude, they're just wasting money. And then like that's like the thought process back then. It was like they're just wasting money. Are you serious? And then obviously they were ahead of their time. But
yeah. I mean, changed the face of what, you know, teams like operated their teams, right? So
we have another segue into a good topic. Team Liquid's new training facility.
oh my god,
sick,
dude, Team Liquid. Oh, they have so much money.
What? No.
Yeah.
Paid by Mickey.
Yeah.
Paid by
Well,
everyone.
when he was just walking around the facility in that video, I was like, oh, it's big.
Yeah.
Oh, it's real big.
Yeah.
Like people like behind him, like through like what would be the windows, like all the way in the distance, and you get to judge like just how far away the distance is. Like they look like ants. And
Yeah.
You're just like, oh.
This place is enormous. Did he say where it is?
It's like pretty close to here.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so for a long time, back when I was in on Team Liquid, they talked about having like a training facility, an office that they do all this stuff in, but it was like tough. And one of the reasons why it was tough is one, they couldn't trust players.
Oh.
No, so literally they couldn't trust players to like have an office life schedule where they get up and they show up to
No,
the
that's
office and they
completely
scrim
true.
and then go, you know, like go home and like have a normal life. And so what ended up happening was before Team Liquid moved to where they are now, all the players were like, "No, let's just stick with the gaming house. That's way easier. Let's just have our managers wake us up for scrims every day."
But it's 100% true. Like when you're, especially even now, like when you're young, like you just want the talent to focus on being talent. Whereas like having to balance real life with gaming, like that's like a variable you try to minimize.
Yeah.
If you're like the organization, so you have chefs in the house,
Yeah.
you have full day schedules,
You have maid services.
you have maid services, you have coaches to tell you like what to focus on. Like
Yeah.
you as the gifted young prodigy mechanical player, you don't have to worry about anything else except for how to play the game at the
Yeah.
highest possible level.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's I don't know if you guys have watched this or you guys were like too old for it, but there's an episode of SpongeBob SquarePants where Squidward
yes.
tries to like make a fine dining restaurant to impress his friend, and he tells SpongeBob like literally throw out everything you know about everything else in life but fine dining.
Fine dining and breathing. That's it. Fine dining and breathing. That's it. And there's this great sequence where they go into SpongeBob's head, and it's like all these, like the classic like files in the brain, and he's just burning everything, and all that's left is just fine dining and breathing, and it's just so funny.
And then
that's what they wanted out of their players, basically.
And then in the end of the episode, SpongeBob ends up going haywire because the guy asks him a question about like, why are you so good at this? And he didn't know how to answer that, and he goes into this like panic rush.
Yeah,
because he
it's
didn't
like,
know
what is your name? My name, my name.
Oh,
He really doesn't know. I mean, that's basically League players.
That's what
honestly.
you want. Like, yeah, if you need, like, if you could get a faker on Team Liquid, but for Steve to get the faker, he needed to literally like control every aspect of his life. Even like, okay, if he needs to go to the restroom, he needs his hand held to go to the restroom. Have someone help him wash his hands while he's in there.
Yeah.
But he could be faker. Steve would do it, dude. Steve would get 2.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's, to be honest, one of the reasons why the Koreans are so good at this game is that they are just robots that the coaches control, and they're like, you sit down here and you play this fucking game for 17 hours in a row.
And it's so funny because, like, I actually agree with that statement, especially if you're looking in short term, because people talk about burnout, but honestly, burnout, like, it only matters when you're talking long term in terms of like mental stability. Like, it's over a course of a couple years.
Yeah.
But like with the talent that Korea has, I never think that it's a problem, because if players do burn out, they just replace them.
Yeah.
But they maximize the highest percentage chance of winning worlds for that year. And that percentage chance is, we're playing League 16 hours a day. But I remember when Reddit threads would come on and people would be like, Koreans play 14 hours plus a day? I would never do that. And wow, I much prefer the innate lifestyle. And I'm just like, well, there's a reason why that lifestyle works.
Yeah.
Because, like, that has results.
They literally give up their like life expectancy to win worlds that year.
Yeah, and it's like, if you want to win worlds, right there.
Yeah.
Like, in all actuality, that's probably the best way to do it. And I still think so. Like, I think if you're a pro player, you're playing, thinking, breathing, living the game 14, 16 hours a day.
Yep.
I think it's pretty crazy.
See, you know when Mark enters, dude. He's so loud.
Oh, see, like,
and obnoxious.
Well, you have the presence, is what we were talking about.
I could sense the asshole from 10 miles away.
With Miles,
I mean,
that's a special you thing. That's not necessarily
phrasing.
for everyone.
phrasing. Miles comes out like this little squeaky mouse, and you're like this grandiose, like.
I just want chat to know their suffering is over, even though like, I'm not on screen yet. That I'm here, and they don't need to worry. Josh is gonna leave.
I mean, but you're not here yet. You're going
I need to pee. You guys are stopping me from peeing.
No, you need a cue. Anyway. So I do Tafo puns, are pretty cringe. That's my little thing.
Oh my god. Oh, glad you're on the show, Tafa. Good stuff.
Good stuff.
I mean, you're basically the freak of Melee, right?
Yeah.
So.
We've actually hung out before too.
Oh yeah.
We played Resistance together. It was Smashers and League players, and it was hilarious because Freak and I were trying to outdo each other in like this like pun duel.
Oh
like,
god. Who ended up winning?
Who won?
I did.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
Dude, I bet you he wants a rematch.
Now we need to get Tafo to fight Lily on puns.
Oh my
Oh gosh. I don't know if I can compete with.
Lily's actually like you're just sitting there and she'll just be like, she'll just say a pun. We went rock climbing and she was just like, I just want to let you guys know, I rock. And I'm just like,
You just gotta roll with it.
Oh my god. Alright, you're too good. You that's our next offline TV content right there, dude.
I actually, so one of the things I want to do on offline is we do a tournament series of Don't Laugh, where do you know what that is?
Whatever happens, I would lose.
They did it recently with like professional athletes, and they sit them at a table and they just have to say really bad jokes to each other until someone like cracks up. I think that would be a pretty good one.
I'm like so bad at that because like if someone else is laughing, I'm just like yeah, and then it's like wait, I lost.
Well, as long as they don't laugh, then you won't laugh, so you'll be the best until someone else loses.
Yeah.
Even their facial expressions will make me laugh. People just smile. Like,
dude, I'm so bad at keeping a straight face.
All right. Anyways, get off the couch, you two. We're gonna do our official show.
Well, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for helping cover.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Tafo. You get your check in the mail.
Thank you.
Dude, guess what?
I forgot my notes.
Wait, are you serious? I'll talk, dude. It's fine. I'll run them through.
You just need to remind me some of the. I remember most of the games like main storyline story points. I just forget like the small.
All you need to know is it's okay. So before we get to that,
Yeah.
welcome to Greatest League Talkshow, guys. Today we're gonna be talking about the playoff series match of C9 versus Dignitas. It was a different result than I expected.
Yeah, definitely an upset series. I think heading into it, a lot of people expected C9 to win. Spoiler, they didn't, and it actually wasn't that close, all things considered.
Surprisingly enough, Dig is way better than I expected. So what ended up happening in the series was Dig goes off to a 2-0 lead, and then they pick Nocturne, and then they lose that game, and then the fourth game comes around, and they win.
Wait, maybe we should pick Nunu instead again.
And then you run the same items, and then they eventually win a very, very close 47-minute like skirmish bloodbath where they come back from a really big deficit.
Yep, definitely a good series out of Dig. Kind of, it really put to rest that like, oh, C9 was the better team, but got unlucky today. It really felt like Dig's just the better team.
Yes, and a large part of that was I thought that Adrian, Altec, and Shrimp played just phenomenal today. Like I expect some excellence out of someday, but like Shrimp for me was always like, oh, maybe, and then like their bot lane especially, I was just like, wow, they're just so good.
Yeah, bot lane smashed. Shrimp did his role. Someday took losing matchups, and so he didn't look super impressive in the first like 15-20 minutes of every game, but then he had great team fighting. And Keen lost every laning phase to Jensen, even in winning matchups, but it was never horrible. It was like 10-15 CS.
Yeah, I think it was 30 CS one game.
In the last game. In the last game, well, that was the one time Jensen took the counter pick and just obliterated him. But.
Yeah, but like that, I expect that, man. Like I know Jensen's that good.
If Jensen's not snowballing the whole game on you and he's just beating your mid, that's not a bad series out of your mid lane.
Yeah, like that's the standard because Jensen lanes exceptionally well.
Yeah, and so this is a game where I think this series, and we'll get into it, was one where I think I wouldn't say he underperformed, but he didn't like step up and do more than like, you know what I mean? Like he didn't have like another level performance.
Yeah, for them to win, especially with some of their teammates not playing that well, which I thought, for instance, Sneaky didn't play that well today at all.
Yeah.
With that in mind, he needed to play like another level.
And to be fair, I don't think it's that ridiculous to expect that out of him in the playoffs.
Seems out. Did they confirm who won MVP yet? Well, he's he's all team first, right?
Yeah, he was the first all team player. So like you expect him to beat his opponent, which yes, he did that, but he didn't like smash a game. He never went off completely.
All right. Anyways, let's get into the games real quick. And as we do these best of fives, we'll probably get a little bit more nitty gritty than you guys expect in our normal weeks because we only have one series to focus on. So we'll be covering over drafts, like what people like, what they didn't like, as well as going over like more specific points during the game. So the first game was where I found out that apparently Twitch priority is very high, just across the board.
And it's something that makes a little bit of sense because Caitlyn was nerfed pretty heavily on this patch. As well as the fact that no one else really bullies him that badly. Like maybe Callista is the next, and then that's still pretty support dependent. So you see relatively high Twitch priority in the series.
And on top of that, you see red side priority. Every team opted to go for red side because it was better for them.
Yeah, we're basically in a meta right now where like for the last year almost, it's like, here are your red side bans. Here are your red side bans. Take your red side bans. You got Camille, LeBlanc, Rengar in spring. This season, it's Zach, Caitlyn,
LeBlanc or something.
Elise or something.
Something
it's like some third one. There's only really two. And now it's at a point where it's like, well, you can kind of ban whatever you want on red side. So with all the other advantages in the draft, non-champion specific, like getting last pick in the first phase, 2 bans, and then first pick in the second phase, that power play right there is fucking huge. And that's why you see most likely people preferring red.
So one of the things I saw that ended up happening was both this and the next game, Jensen just picks Cassio really early. Like, really, really early.
First rotation for C9 this game was Twitch Cassio, which is just weird.
Yes. And on top of that, I just think Twitch in general should be played with an Ardent support. Or with the exception of a situation where the team can set up a fight in a position where Twitch can just unstealth at a certain angle and then take over the fight.
But that's often more specific towards the enemy team than your own, really.
Right. So C9 had like a hard-on for Twitch Blitz.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily like the bot lane duo that much.
Nope.
Because it can't help Twitch get through lane, and it doesn't help Twitch win team fights either.
So all that said, I think both team comps here are mostly fine. Dignitas has winning bot and mid. They have losing top. It's Gnar into Maokai, which I still think is like fine for the Maokai, but Impact's pretty good on Gnar.
Yeah, I thought this was Impact's return to form, playoff form.
He looked
pretty good first 2 games.
He was given matchups he should look good in, and he looked good in them. So
yeah.
he did his job over the course of the series pretty well, I'd say.
Especially against a top laner that most people would agree with is like the best or top 2, top 3.
Absolutely. So getting into this game, or is there anything else you want to say on draft?
No, let's get into this game.
So level 1, C9 goes for an invade, burn J-Force Flash. Excellent idea. They have, like we said, losing bot and mid and a winning top side. So C9's game plan seems to be Rek'Sai for contracts, do a top side clear, get Scuttle Crab, some vision control, and maybe gank top if it looks good, or at least just set him up on an island by getting some vision down, and he can just push the lane.
And what ends up happening is Shrimp gets a good leash, walks over there, and hides in the bush. Contracts walks past, and Shrimp pulls a sneaky play. Gnar gets baited to walk up and harass the Maokai, and then Shrimp comes out of the bush, kills Gnar, and then Contracts just makes the dumbest play, where he tries to solo kill the Maokai, using his summoner for it as well.
And he doesn't even execute it correctly. He bites before he has full fury.
But even like in no situation in that case is he getting better than a 1-for-1.
Yeah, I mean it's a bad play.
It's just generally a terrible
It's a bad play. It's conceptually and executed poorly.
So in that situation, he's already going to the top side jungle. He could have counter jungled while his top lane died. And,
yeah, he could have grabbed wolves.
Yeah, and then that would have been the better play. Contracts in this game, I thought played just awfully.
God awful.
His worst game of like maybe the season. It was just terrible.
This whole game felt like C9 was fucking asleep. Like they were just so out of it. All the decisions they made were trash, and Dignitas's were good. And when you combine trash decision making with good enemy decision making, you're gonna get steamrolled.
Yeah, and I think usually people don't notice it that much because C9, the way C9 functions a lot as a team is they are a team where the laners lane and Contracts comes in and does something and then breaks them out of lane. But if nothing happens, then the laners just lane, and generally their laners are very good.
Yeah.
However, this is a series where it's like, oh, well, the decision making that was going bad was on Contracts' end, and every play he did was bad. So not only was the top lane play really bad, they did another bot lane.
The bot lane play was even worse for me.
Yeah, he just Rek'Sai tunnels into 3 people by himself. Before the TP even ends, he's dead.
So to set this situation up a little bit more, Dignitas' bot lane is Caitlyn Thresh.
It's Caitlyn Thresh, yeah.
Yeah, so they have
a
winning bot lane versus Blitz Twitch, obviously. They're just pushing in constantly. Turret starts getting low. There's a fight in the bot lane. Twitch is at like half health. And instead of backing off, sacking the turret, Contracts going topside and trading, because they see J4, they see Shrimp run into the lane, and they're just tri-laning, trying to finish this turret off. And rather than just going somewhere else on the map, C9, with their half-health Twitch, decide to just all in the other team's bot lane. And completely telegraphed.
And they get smashed 2-for-0, lose tower, and lose dragon. And it was just like, oh, so they just gave up their entire the next 5 minutes.
Yep. So that's basically, not necessarily the end of the game, but like, if Dignitas continues to play correctly, it's the end of the game. And
the thing for C9 is actually Impact with him getting ganked early is accruing a really big lead. Because Maokai ended up TPing bot lane, Impact gets tower top lane, balloons his lead from 25 CS to about 40, 50, and then in the mid lane,
Jensen has like 10, 15 CS.
Yeah, Jensen got counterpicked and is up in CS and pressure.
So what do you think about the Syndra Cassio matchup? It's one that I don't think is like a hard counter, but
it's a soft counter for Syndra, and you force the Cassio to have to build that defensive item, which is a mask. Mm-hmm. Because like if she builds tier into like an offensive item, Cassio dies instantly.
Yeah, and it's still skilly in the sense that like if Cassio dodges your shit and you don't dodge hers, then like yeah, Cassio can train you down with E.
Yeah, but Syndra has I feel like better setup and also good range to deal with Cassio. It's just like Jensen's the better player.
Yeah, if you just don't use your E as the Syndra that often, and if he lands a Q on you, you just E him off you, and and it disengages. Whereas a lot of mids, Cassio gets the speed boost from the Q and just E, and you can't get her off you.
At some point, at some item level, Cassio takes over the lane, but it's like after a full completed item where you don't really talk about laning anymore.
Yeah, so either way, Jensen's up 10 CS. He had like one good roam kind of early game. And that was it. Or maybe that's the Lucian game I'm thinking of. No, it wasn't this game.
No, it wasn't this game.
No.
This is the game where like he just laned and had a little bit of pressure.
Yeah, lane pressure, doesn't matter. Bot lane got rolled. Top lane had that disaster early on. Jensen was like, or excuse me, Shrimp was 4-0 on Jarvan.
Yeah, and Shrimp is the person who's literally making all the plays happen. Like Shrimp is the opposite of Contracts, where I think Shrimp actually has a standout performance this game. One of his best games of the year. And he just like runs train on everything that happens early. Like all his decision making was correct this game, especially early game, and he gave Dignitas this game on like a silver platter.
Yeah, and it was a little scary just for a little bit because of the CS leads and the turret trading that happened. C9 was still relatively close in gold despite all the stuff going wrong, and all the kills were on Jarvan. So like at some point you're like, you know, their carries aren't that much stronger.
And what you'll see throughout the entirety of all the Dig games recently and this series, Dig actually has good objective control.
Unbelievable objective control.
Yeah, I think their Baron objective control is the best in the league, if not top 2, at worst top 3. And so because of that, like they are very good at being able to establish vision, getting and making plays around their vision very well, and especially all their Baron plays are just really, really phenomenal.
They're conceptually not like perfect. Like there's chances that this could go south, but they execute them so well that it doesn't matter.
And so this is a good game of like, even though
Smoothie pulls
Jarvan, gets the kill, they're able to sit on their vision again, find another play on Baron, get the Baron, clean up C9, game's over.
The cool thing about this Baron play was C9 was very, very patient. Contracts is hovering around, Smoothie's hovering around on Blitzcrank. He pulls J4 out of the pit
that was so
right
funny.
as it gets into smite range. And you're like, oh god, Contracts is going to go in the pit and steal this. But Someday went over the wall and jumped onto Contracts. So both junglers are locked out of the pit. And then Someday, what's his name? Shrimp gets back in first for the smite. So this is what we're saying. We're like, that was a potentially 50-50 Baron, but they just always execute well around it.
Right. And there was one situation where C9 5-0's them in the base, which is literally like one of the dumbest things that happened.
Yeah, Someday just like chases this like no health impact and lets the rest of his team 4v4.
Yes, where Smoothie hits a good hook on the Keen. The next team fight where they then use to end the game shows what happens when Someday's frontlining. He just gets on the Twitch. Twitch can't move. Twitch dies.
Yeah, it's like C9 after winning that last fight want to fight another one. They run forward. Dignitas runs away. And then Someday is just like, Righteous Glory, just fucking runs at him.
And then they all die.
Yeah.
And Twitch isn't able to use his flash, so like he dies in the CC train.
Yep.
Okay, that's enough for the first game, unless you have something else.
No, that's mostly it.
Second game was, for me, the surprise pick of Trundle. You kind of see the situation where they're giving up Maokai and these tanks to be able to pick like counter tank matchups, which is, to be fair, is not working out very well for them.
It's a strategy I can somewhat appreciate.
Yeah, I don't mind the strategy. I think the first game they actually ended up almost working out if their early game wasn't so awful. And then this
almost worked out in the fourth game as well, if they didn't throw.
Yes.
This game, not so much. So giving Maokai to Someday, I think is something that over the course of the series they should have changed.
Yes, and they did. The third game they ended up banning it, right?
Yeah, but he got
and in the fourth game.
Third game Dignitas banned it.
Oh, actually, you're right.
Yeah.
I actually thought it was the other team.
No, Dig banned it third game, and then fourth game they just took it again. So, I mean, third game was a really weird game.
And we'll get
into game 3 because that's a woo.
But the second game and the first two games for Shrimp just start out level 1 just terribly.
Oh god, yeah, this one's awful again. He's on Nunu. He wants to be an annoying bitch. He goes for the other team's blue buff, but a level 1 consume Nunu is like a creep. He's basically a 600 health minion.
And the worst thing is Trundle finds them, and Trundle's level 1 is the best in the game. In a melee sense, he's actually unbeatable.
Yeah, he steals your auto attacks, makes his stronger, gets a reset. Like it's disgusting.
So he can actually fight them off 2v1, delays Nunu's opener by almost
probably like 20 seconds.
Yeah, 20 seconds.
Makes him smite his first buff.
Yeah, and so it's just like, oh, it's great for Contracts. And then,
I mean, to be fair, Contracts did find the first 2 plays of the game of the series.
Yeah,
of this game.
He did the mid lane gank, and Jetson eventually ballooned that, right?
Yeah, well, there's also the bot lane one that both guys TP'd into. That was a 1-for-1 in the bot lane.
Oh yeah, the 5 minute play. Yeah. So he did the bot lane play where he finds the play, he gets 1-for-0, but Shrimp gets Infernal after the play ends.
Yeah, on the reset.
So that's really good for Dignitas to equalize that, and then in the mid lane, Contracts finds the kill onto Keen. And at this point, Jetson has like a 25 CS lead. It's pretty good.
Yeah, he's doing well. The whole team's doing well.
Dig swaps, gets first tower. C9 trades for 2 towers, and then at this point, it just devolves into a point where goes to the point where C9 can't push their lead that much, and Dignitas just starts tower trading nonstop.
Yeah.
And which is great for Dig, actually, super good. This 2K gold lead that happened early extends probably for like the next 8 minutes.
Yeah. It stalls out, and as the game stalls, the scary thing against Dignitas with Nunu is you're getting into Baron territory. And after that Infernal, I believe, did they get a Cloud Drake, and C9 had an Infernal and Cloud Drake, so the Dragons were relatively equal. But
I didn't keep track of Dragons this game as much as I just kept track of the actual like Baron that happens relatively soon after this thing.
Yeah, anyways, so we can just get to the Baron play. This is like another example of like a really risky Baron play that they just execute super well, and they even kill trade favorably as they exit, which is hilarious.
Yeah, which is something where you're just like, oh wow, C9 did not have good enough control on this at all. They brute force Baron from behind, and then they get.
To be fair, they're not like Dignitas is not super far behind. It's like 1 or 2K ish.
Yeah, but it's still
three maybe or something.
But it's still a situation where you're like, oh, okay, they're doing this, but this isn't necessarily like. If they get caught doing this, this is a game over for them.
Right.
Essentially, they straight up lose the game.
Yeah, this is a Baron that most teams throw, but what works out really well for Dignitas is all of C9 is coming down that ramp that used to be Banana Brush, and first Thresh walks forward and like flays some people back. I think it was the Thresh, right? Or no, it was an Alistar. Yeah. So they have the Alistar go in and like pulve people. They have their front line walk forward. Maokai also walk forward and punch some people. So C9 can't get through the choke that efficiently. And the only person on the left side, I think, was Sneaky on Callista, who like doesn't really want to get in like just strictly auto attack range. So they actually finish the Baron off.
And then most of them flash over the pit behind. They get chased, and then it just gets actually cleaned up pretty well for Dignitas.
Yeah, like Sneaky flashes the wall to follow, or cues over the wall to follow them. Maokai turns around and W's him. Syndra blows him up, and out of nowhere, like Dignitas got a Baron, 3 kills, and they start pushing really aggressively.
They start going mid lane, and this is the point where the difference between this comp and the comp before, where Twitch is essentially given the ability to open up late. He doesn't have to be visible until after the fight starts. Whereas in the other one, Blitzcrank starting the fight doesn't give you a type of initiation. It drags them to you, but the initiation isn't like a solid like great initiation setup for the Twitch. And what happens with the Baron is they brute force 5-man mid lane. Alistar sets up initiation, Twitch just unloads, and they 4-for-1 the team fight.
Yeah, C9 is trying to hold on to their outer mid turret, and they just clump up a little bit and just Twitch from the outside, spray and praise all of them down. I don't think it's an ace. I think it's like a 4-for-1.
It's huge.
Yeah, I think they go all the way to mid inhibitor with this, and then they reset. They're smashing this game, and then they go top eventually, and then the same thing that happens in game 1 happens in game 2.
Yes, Contract's fine, but this time Contract's finds a great flank from behind, pushes Altec into the team. They fumble their initiation going in, so it's not super clean. Altec gets picked off early, and they 4-for-0. And you're just like, well, maybe they can do it.
Yeah, C9's back in it.
And then, no, the next fight, they just
Next fight, yeah, Altec plays this fight super, super well. There was a Baron bait situation earlier in the game where Altec was hovering up on the blue buff ramp, and C9 did a really good job being like, where's Twitch? We don't see Twitch. Don't walk forward yet. Play it slow. Wait till you see Twitch. And then he became visible, and it should have been a good play, but Jensen got killed that time. But this time around, same thing happens. Altec's hovering on the ramp as Twitch. C9's not as patient. They walk forward. Sneaky has no flash from the previous fight in the top lane, and Altec just murders him and Jensen.
Yeah, he gets direct cut to the back line and just wins the fight by himself, and the game's over. They push it down mid.
Yep, so that's game 2 out of the books.
And at this point, I'm just like, oh, Dig might 3-0 this series. This is looking really good for Dignitas.
Right, because game 1 happens, and it's mostly off the back of C9 being, like, awful.
Yeah.
And then game 2 happens, C9 gets a lead, and Dignitas convincingly claws back into it.
Yeah, so it's looking very promising for Dignitas. And then the third game, they pick Nocturne.
Well, before we get into that, hold on. I want to walk through this a little bit, because C9, back on red side, they take the... do they take the Twitch again?
Yes.
Yeah,
they
Twitch.
ban Twitch.
Oh, they take Elise and...
No, this is bans. This is... They take...
No, they take Twitch Elise.
Wait, is it?
Yes, they take Twitch Elise.
Oh, I might have flipped this.
No, it's right. They take Twitch Elise Lucian, and then they take Gnar Blitz. Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah.
You're a monkey.
No, I flipped the bands because I always do bands like, all right, whatever.
You always... I don't know how to read your... I read your thing better than you read your thing.
I'm Don't worry about it. Keep going.
Anyway, so the point I'm about to make is that when a team goes down 0-2 in a series that they're favorites in, and then they start going for the most early game aggressive comp you can see, where they take Elise in the first round, and then they round out in the second pick of the first phase, they take Lucian mid. You're like, oh my god, this team is tilted. They're going for all early game, just hoping to smash, and if they don't smash, they're going to give up and roll over and die. And that's kind of like the vibe you're getting from C9 here. Like, I don't know if you felt the same way.
No, I felt definitely the same way. It's like, I don't know what happened, but Jetsu was probably just like, I need to play Lucian. I need something that can smash lane by myself. I'll get the tower by myself, and then like I'll just carry all the fights by myself. Like, I got this.
Yeah, and you're destroying your team comp. Elise jungle, Lucian mid is ass as a team comp. And so this is kind of like, it feels like C9 doubling down. And like, this is where the Nocturne pick comes in, because Dignitas had J4 first picked. They could have flexed it to the top side and taken Nunu again, had a really strong team comp that just needs to survive the Elise Lucian pressure. And instead they go the complete other way and take Nocturne with losing lanes into a bad jungle matchup.
Right, and it's like, God, it's so bad. Like, it's like, okay, well, I could maybe see it. And to be fair, Strip does play a lot of Nocturne from what I understand. It's a pocket pick for him in scrims. He apparently played against multiple teams when they came over from different regions. And so, like, he knows how to play this champion. It's just, in my mind, if you're playing tank Nocturne, like, they're tanks for that.
I don't get it. Like, I can see it because C9's team comp is like no peel.
Yeah, it's
all squishy, no peel.
And it's like, I can kind of see the situation where that'd be not bad with Jarvan deleting the AD, which happened in one of the team fights this game.
Against the Twitch.
Yes.
That can work, but you need to get off the ground first for that to work, and your team comp has zero strategy for making that work. There's no guaranteed way to get your team comp off the ground. It's basically at the mercy of C9 to fuck up the early game so that you get a free ride.
Right, and like, you pretty much only pick Nocturne if your lanes are winning, and so you could safely farm to 6 and then impact the game from there with your like very unique type of gank.
Yeah. And that just doesn't happen. Contract solo kills him 4 minutes into the game in his own jungle off a great play.
Yeah. Oh, God. He gets solo killed, and then Shrimp then proceeds to do nothing.
He tries to, like... Well, his jungle path is all fucked up now because, like, he did Wolves after... I think he did Wolves blue and then tried to do his Gromp. That's when the invade comes in. He gets forced off the Gromp, and then he tries to start it again, and then Contracts kills him.
Flashes over,
so his Gromp gets killed, like, 50 seconds later. So his jungle path is like really weird. He also didn't finish off his Raptors because he got the super leash and he only cleared the small ones. So like his jungle path is super fucked up.
Yeah, he's completely not only pushed out of the game, like his only route this game is like essentially ganking bot lane. That's what he ends up doing.
They do it.
And look, it's so bad because it's just incredibly telegraphed.
It's so telegraphed. It doesn't work. Is this the one that C9 actually counter, or is that the one later? That's the later one, right?
Yeah. He's bot lane 4 different times, and also for Dignitas's favor, Elise tries to pressure her jungle lead by invading the second blue buff, but then Someday just comes in and smacks Contracts out of the jungle, and it almost turns really bad for C9. And so like they stabilize because Someday's able to guarantee the topside jungle for Nocturne to be able to get to level 6 and like maybe try to find the play.
Stabilizing is like a bit of a reach because it's like they're down like 1k gold. The Elise is even in farm. The Nocturne now is a Cinder Hulk built, and you're like, wait, where is this power spike?
Yes,
because it's not at 6 anymore.
And then the great thing for C9 is like they make a group play together, which looks really good. At 10 minutes or 10:30, they 5-man collapse in the bot lane. Get they get double kill and first tower.
Yeah, I think they get 3 because it's this really messed up play where like
Nocturne's there too.
Yeah, so Nocturne starts it off with a gank. Sneaky flashes once the Nocturne ult finishes. The teleport that was coming from Someday is no longer in range, so he cancels it. And then there's a Nocturne in the middle of your team, so C9's like, wait, we'll teleport in.
Wait, Nocturne like moves up after the cancel because it wasn't well communicated, and he just gets picked off really bad. He has to his team has to go back to save him, and then they just get collapsed on and just
because Contracts and Jensen roam down. They get 3 kills in turret. Keen finds 1 cleanup kill, so it's a 3 for 1, but it's still booty.
Yeah, it's really bad. And in this situation, it's like, well, what does Nocturne do? They double, triple, quadruple down on bot lane, and they convert 1 kill. That the entire situation is, okay, well, Twitch dies at 14 minutes because his flash is down, and they're able to get the kill. After all this time, that's all he gets. And C9 is able to essentially run into the mid game with their comp with a pretty big lead.
Yeah.
Dignitas able to find one team fight that's okay, where they cut off the Twitch with Jarvan, Nocturne just immediately eliminate Twitch, and
But-
it still turns out
pretty bad.
Yeah,
Because,
2 for 1 for them.
Yeah, like Lucian and Gnar are still pretty big threats in their own right. So it's a situation where, like, yeah, you blew all your cooldowns killing the Twitch, but the other two still have damage. And even the Elise, like, Contracts on Elise was building pure damage because with Gnar, Lucia, and Twitch, you're all physical. And, you know, of course, Dignitas starts stacking armor. Elise is basically doing true damage because she's building magic.
And the one time where I just thought, like, okay, well, this game's actually over was after all this bot lane play, the Dig bot lane reswaps topside, and they're trying to group up to, like, resettle their control on topside. And then as they're looking to, like, place wards down, Adrian just gets collapsed on by 4 people from C9. He dies. They lose all pressure top lane, and then Contracts invades into the jungle with Lucian, and they catch Shrimp backing in the middle of the jungle.
Yeah.
And that's the situation where you're just like, they have no way to win the game.
Yeah, it went from like 1 or 2 to 5 or something to like 10.
Yes, and at that point, Dignitas lost all control of the map, and they just have to pray to God they find a pick somewhere. And their team comp's not necessarily good for that.
No, and C9 has Blitz, Elise, so every time they walk into jungle, near river, around Baron, C9 just gets another pick. And it wasn't like an explosive game where like C9 aced them or anything. It was just like kill.
Yeah, but based on like what you knew, like they didn't have the damage to be able to immediately one hit the Twitch illusion off the Nocturnal ulti, and you knew that there was no way they could win the game. Because Nocturne's like 0-4 or 0-5 at this point.
Yeah, there's 0 pressure points on the map. And so this game, yeah, C9 bounced back, but it's a weird game because it's like Dignitas just need to step back and be like, oops, we fucked up. Let's go back to the other game plan that was working really well.
I think that like they recognize that, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, it's good for them. And I thought C9 should have taken this as like, oh, you know, they didn't get Maokai this time. You know, he was a problem.
It felt like they didn't learn the right lesson.
Yeah, like I think they learned like, okay, well, Lucian was great for us. Like we just won the game, and honestly, we just need Contracts to solo kill the other jungler at level 4.
Yeah,
it needs to be Nocturne, and we just like 5-man dive the bot lane again. That's our strat.
I don't think they were like Maokai was not there. That made things easier. I think they were like Lucian made things easier. It's like maybe both. Maybe don't give them Maokai.
And so like of course they just replaced the Nocturne with Nini this time. Have a great like front to back team comp, and for game 4, and then what ends up happening is I actually thought C9 was in a decent position up until their bot lane got smashed.
Well, even after their bot lane got smashed, they should have won this game.
Yeah,
there's 2 huge plays later on in this game that like I like tilted the fuck over so hard.
Okay, so what ends up happening in this situation is that there's kind of like a trade of kills, but Jensen is creating an enormous lead this game.
Yes, he only had a small lead last time. I was like, actually, I don't even think he was up CS. This game, he's up like 30, and they get a kill with Contracts early on after like a 1-for-1 in the bot lane fight, and it's looking pretty good for C9.
And then Altec pops out of bot lane. I don't think I saw this play, so you have to walk over what happened in the bot lane laney phase. For me.
Basically, they were able to get that first 1-for-1 that worked out pretty well for them. Both top laners TP down, and then right after that is when Jensen gets the kill with Contracts. C9's bot lane a couple minutes later, I think Summoners came back up. They try and force again down the bot side, just 2v2. But they end up going on the Janna, and Sivir has a BF sword now, and they don't focus down the Sivir. So like Triss jumps in, and like Sivir's kind of free hitting, and then Triss starts getting fucked up and tries to run away. Sivir pops her ult, they chase her down. Altec's so nasty on Sivir. Has a perfect spell shield on the Buster shot to stop the knockback, just keeps running down, and they kill the Tristan, and then they kill the Alistar. They get a double kill.
Yeah, so that was a situation where like if that play didn't happen, I thought that C9 were in a good spot to be able to come over, because I saw Altec come out lane phase 3-0 with a humongous lead. What am I trying to say? Humongous lead.
Yeah, so this was a game that was going well for C9. This play happens. It starts going poorly. Once again, Shrimp is on Nunu, so he's going around taking objectives. They take Infernal Dragon early, or maybe it was a Mountain Dragon first, and then an Infernal Dragon, which I love the way that Dig played this. They could have forced a fight around the Dragon, but instead they just got it and ran out. They were only on like 2-item power spikes, so I like that Dig was initially playing this game slow.
Yeah, this is a situation where I thought even though the game was relatively even, I thought Dig had a great chance of winning the game. Like, it was an even game against a comp with just a superior comp that you knew would eventually outscale everything.
Right. So, I mean, obviously Triss versus Sivir is actually relatively close in the late game. Sivir has arguably better AoE damage, but Triss has longer range.
Yeah, but Sivir has the new Janus shell, so you're just like, oh god.
Yeah.
Dude,
So their late game is really good, especially when you compare it to the mid laners. Like, no, I do not want Lucian late game. Nunu, like you said, late game is pretty great. Gragas is good too, and then it was Gnar on the top side again. No, it was Galio.
Yeah.
And I'd rather have a Maokai than the Galio.
Yeah, and so like you see one comp which has a great front to back team fighting comp. They just need to make sure that like the carries don't fall behind, and the AD already got super far ahead. The only thing that C9 had going for them was, hey, wait,
Jensen's fed.
Jensen's super fed.
Well, he's farmed. He's not fed. Either way, Dignitas make a really big mistake. It's only like 22, 23, 24 minutes in the game. They're only on 2-item power spike still, and they start trying to brute force around Baron. And like, this is kind of Dignitas' identity, and they've done it well all series long, so it's hard to say this was a bad idea, but this is a time where they don't execute that clearly.
Yeah, I don't think this is as bad of an idea as you say. I just think that like C9 actually outperformed like really bad.
If Sneaky didn't have probably one of the best plays of the year, they still win this fight. I don't think I didn't say anything funny.
No. I mean, I just thought like Sneaky like just went completely off in this situation. What ended up happening was a 4-for-0 with 5 members of the team being under 30%. Something crazy.
Sneaky just like, they almost finish off all tech with a flash taunt from the Galio. He has to flash, or he jumps forward, gets the kill, flashes the Taliyah W as it's coming in, gets the kill on Taliyah with another auto attack, gets the reset jump out of the fight, bust your shots the next guy away. It's just like one of the sickest sequences this year. Go watch this replay of this fight if you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, it's funny that he could flash his Taliyah W here and not.
I don't think he had flashed. Oh, he did, didn't he? He's just, fuck, that's one of the plays, yes.
Okay.
Anyways, the monster play out of Sneaky basically should win them the game.
Yes.
They get the Baron afterwards.
It's a 4-for-0 Baron, and the only thing the other team has is like, okay, I guess we can get Ocean Dragon.
Yeah, so they push their lead down. They start pushing everywhere. They get turrets down. They have a 5,000 or 6,000 gold advantage.
Yeah, I think they convert Tier 2 mid lane, Tier 3 mid lane, Tier 2 bot lane, and top lane.
Yeah, and top lane.
So they got 4 turrets off that play, and then they go down mid lane to get the mid lane tower. And during this time, like, they're just so far ahead with the Baron power play, and as well as the Baron buff, that they're just like smashing these team fights. Except for when it gets to double Nexus tower, which gets really hard to dive. Janus, Sivir, Nunu.
Right, so at the end of the day, I mean, like, Dignitas' stall is pretty good with their comp. Overall, C9 can't like find the nail in the coffin fight, but the gold lead is still growing. They're getting more objectives.
They got both the bottom inhibs.
They got bot and mid inhib, and then this is where the first horrible play out of C9 comes from. They just took both turrets. There's only top inhib turret and inhib up, and Impact wants to get the wave pushing as fast as he can. Teleports to the minion wave instead of just walking from mid inhibitor up to like 2,000 units away. 3,000 units away. He teleports for it. They push in, they take the top inhibitor turret, they take the top inhibitor. Now they have all 3 inhibitors down within like a minute of each other. They just need to sit in the base and they instantly win. As they're kind of pressuring the inhibitors, Impact gets chunked out. And then he bases. And it's like if you had teleport there, if you just had teleport saved, you can teleport back into that fight and keep the pressure up.
I thought there was a lot of just really bad errors from C9.
I mean, that's just like one, but that's one where like only your top laner got chunked out, and because you blew your teleport to push the wave a little bit faster, you just like you have to back off in this situation with triple inhibitors down.
I also thought in a situation against double tanks, it's really weird for me that the Lucian ended up not building a Last Whisper till 6th item.
Yeah.
So he didn't delay any part of his 4th, 3rd, 5th build items to get Last Whisper to be able to punch the front line. Because a lot of the fights, if you see what ends up happening, the front line dies first, and then you go into killing the back line. At no point can Lucian ever like E-flash into the Taliyah or Sivir and expect to
win.
And
Taliyah was super weak. She was on like 2 items 30 minutes into the game.
Taliyah was in such a bad spot. It wasn't until they did that monster mess up with Tristana on the tower that Taliyah even was able to buy Void Staff. She actually had no Void Staff against double tank frontline up until like 40 minutes into the game.
So what is this monster Tristana mess up? Well, they finally reset. They have triple inhibs down still, and they go into the enemy base, but their bot inhib wave, their bot super creep wave isn't pushing in. So Jensen goes down to get that wave pushing for them. And the 4-mana C9 is not patient enough, and they walk up and start auto-attacking the Nexus turrets. So Dig is, of course, like, wait, we see Jensen.
I think it's okay with like one rapid-fire cannon proc.
Well, you can walk forward. I'm saying, like, Sneaky walks up to the turret, right-clicks it, and stands still while his mid laner's away. And Keen's like, hey, yeah, I'll throw a W out here and see what happens.
And it's like, I don't even know if he expected it to hit. Because in that situation,
it didn't feel like Dig was ready for it.
But the monster follow from Someday.
Yeah, as soon as it did hit, they were like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, like Someday was instantly on that. Eliminated Sneaky, they 4-4-0'd them on the base, and you're getting 4-4-0'd by a team comp that you know is better late game.
Yeah, so this completely stalls out the game. They get 4-4-0'd, and because they took all 3 inhibitors at the same time, usually what happens when you have 3 inhibs down is like, you know, 1 comes back up, but 2 are still down, so you can't leave your base. And then they take that one down, the other 2 come up, but you still have this one down, so you get trapped in this cycle. But because they took all 3 so quickly, which should be a good thing, it's actually a bad thing because all 3 respawn.
Yeah, but like this secures them Elder Dragon and.
But they have no elemental dragons for
Right.
C9, so the Elder Dragon burn is completely negligible.
And then in this situation, they just start grouping up at the 5.5 item mark. Talia, by the way, finished her Void Staff off that play, and Jensen, by the way, still doesn't have Last Whisper. And so when they do the Baron fight, they can't punch the front line fast enough before they get run over.
And this is there's a lot of fights that start breaking out, a lot of really close, crazy fights. And for the most part, it's not like Dignitas is smashing them, but they keep barely winning them. And then there's this one fight around Baron, which is pretty sick, where Adrian secures the kill with his redemption.
Oh god, that was I couldn't believe Sneaky got out, and I couldn't believe the redemption killed him.
Yeah, so Sneaky runs away. He gets out. You think he's going to be fine. Keen tries to cut him off. Sneaky gets past him at 5% HP. Sniped out by Adrian's redemption. It was so clean. So pretty.
They push down mid. I think they get 1 inhib off this. Or they might have just been able to just secure. I think it was 1 inhib.
I think they got inhib, or at the very least, they just push and start getting control around Baron.
Right. And at this point, I think it's unwinnable for C9. With the exception of unless
Dig has to mess up a team fight and let Sneaky melt through, because it's at the end of the day, it's still front to back, tanks versus tanks.
If Contrast gets a flank onto either of the carries, it's possible. Or if Jensen or Impact if Jensen flashes in, is able to kill 1-for-1 one of the carries, it's also okay.
There's 2 ways. Either C9 kills their backline first through flanks or outplays, or Dignitas' frontline fucks up and gets melted first.
Yeah, which.
It's hard to do with a Maokai. It's hard to mess up with Maokai.
Maokai, Janna, Nunu, it's really hard for them to go too far out.
Yeah. So anyways, Baron forces keep happening. They're relatively close. Eventually, C9 walks forward. They get engaged on. Their front line gets melted. Sneaky almost pops off again in this team fight, but he just doesn't quite have enough to do it.
And that's game over.
And that's series over.
Dignitas proved that they're a good team. Actually, I don't think you look at the series and you're just like, Dig fluked it.
Yeah, it's like, they cheese Baron.
If anything, you look at the series and you're like, Dig fluked it by not 3-0ing this. What was that Nocturne?
Yeah, really. You're so they're so convincing. You're like, how'd this go 3 games?
Yeah. So for the most part, I'm most impressed by Shrimp, Adrian, Altec, Adrian especially played really, really well. They're looking like a top tier bot lane right now.
I think this is super fun matchup just because the only teams who have made it to finals are C9, CLG, and TSM. I know GGU made it. Shut the fuck up. They're not a real team.
We already talked about that. In the
yeah. So they knock out C9 here. CLG will probably be Envy, which puts them up against Dignitas or TSM in the semifinals. And if they win there, on their way to being a new team in the finals, they knock out the 2 most represented teams.
And from what I understand, they're not scared to play TSM. They want to play them because in the normal season, they were one of the teams that upset TSM.
They have in some ways a good matchup versus TSM, where okay, the Keen versus Bjergsen thing, very, very scary.
I was going to say, aside from the mid lane matchup, which is going to be, probably true for against in any situation, they are good in all the other lanes.
Yeah, they're good in all their other lanes. I think Shrimp is potentially exploitable, but that might not matter that much. And then the big thing is, TSM is not, a fast team. And that gives time for Dignitas to do their Baron plays. So as long as they hold on the early game, I actually think the mid game favors Dignitas.
I think Dignitas is a good matchup, and someone just said they're 4-1 against TSM in the normal season, which is, I think they're the only team that has that kind of record.
A 2-0 over them then.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Either way, it's a kind of series where if you're TSM, you're like, oh shit, I would have rather played C9. Like we know we can beat C9. We beat them every time now.
Aside from that, like we said before, Jensen didn't do too hot. Or he had good performances, didn't have great performances.
Yeah, this was a series where like you can put this performance in if the rest of your team is playing well, but they weren't. He wasn't good enough to step up. There was a medical timeout because he felt nauseous. I don't know if he puked in the bathroom or anything like that. If he missed, I think it was in game 4. There was a brief pause for that. So maybe he was feeling sick. But I mean, I'm not the type to like want to make up excuses. Like
I don't care what they need. Like if he needs medical timeout, he needs a medical timeout.
Dom played with panic attacks. You know, like a lot of players in the LCS have actually played through issues like this. In some regard, I don't know how serious it was, but
like for me, it doesn't even matter. C9 ended up losing anyways. Like, I know a lot of people look at that and they're like, "Wow, that was so BM by Jensen. He shouldn't have been able to do that." It's like, no, dude, it's for his health. Like it doesn't matter in the end.
Yeah, because if he barfs on his keyboard or something, that's like not better.
Yeah,
it's a longer pause, and then like there's technical problems. You have to like clean shit, disinfect it. Like I don't know.
Overall, I don't have anything else I really want to say about the series. I thought that Dig is looking good, actually good.
Yeah,
I think they're like squeezing in at like number 3 or 2 right now for me.
I think, you know, it's a little unfortunate that they're probably gonna have to play TSM because I think it'd be a really interesting matchup on the other side. Yeah, if they had to go against
because I think they'd beat the enemy for sure, and I would like to see either the Immortals or CLG.
Yeah. So either way, great series out of Dignitas, C9 fail. And now, tomorrow, we have CLG versus Envy. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Predictions, because people want to know. Okay.
People want to know that CLG is going to 3-0.
All right. Wait, hold on. Before we do this, let me walk across real quick.
What are you doing? You got like some kind of...
Let me close this, just because I think...
Oh, are people complaining that they can hear him?
No, but I mean, I'm complaining that I want to hear Josh.
I never want to hear Josh.
Jesus.
Tafo's cool in my book.
Yeah, I love Tafo. Anyways, so... let's talk the next series. We're just right off the bat. Who do you think is going to win?
CLG, I think 3-0 for the most part. I can see a world where like
they pick Nocturne.
Well, you know CLG. Sometimes they just take a fight and you're like, bruh.
Yeah. No, CLG is always a team where it's like the more confident you are they're going to win, the more you're sure they're not going to win cleanly. Like it's going to be like some really bad losses somewhere along the line.
I mean, they're like the gung-ho teamwork teams. They're like, all in on this bot play. And it's like, wait, that was not a good bot play.
They got 0 for 5.
Yeah.
it's 8 minutes in.
So I can see a world where like one of those happen, for sure.
Yeah, I actually think the same thing. However, I thought that today's series was going to be a 3-1 for C9.
I thought it was close, and I saw a lot of ways that like Dignitas could upset, but I was still pretty convinced of C9.
Yeah, I was convinced that C9 was going to win this with like a 60 to 70% confidence, which is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean...
And I have like that level. I have like a little bit higher confidence. Like we're talking like 65 to like 70% for this series. Maybe more than that, actually.
I have more. I have like 80.
Really?
Well, because the only mismatch that exists in the entire matchup is the jungle.
That's true. There is actually...
I think you can say Apollo and Hakuho have outperformed Stixxay and Afro somewhat this season, but Afro's look great. Stixxay a little questionable, but like Apollo's not the AD carry to go and destroy you in lane.
One of the things I could see was maybe like Niski. I always mess with his name.
Whatever.
Niski like maybe mechanically doing very well into Hui, but Hui's had a great season so far.
Hui's not the guy that you beat through like shitting on him in lane.
Yeah.
Like even when he's playing like great players, like we've seen him stack up against Faker, we've seen him play against Bjergsen and Jensen all the time, and like yes, they will beat him in lane, but he'll go and make a great play. And the big thing for Hui, and when he doesn't have a good performance, is you limited his plays.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess I have the same problems. Like honestly, I saw Omar play the week before.
Not good.
Not good.
Nah.
I was just like, Jesus, dude. His team is setting him up for the greatest early game starts ever, where he literally has to do the most mechanical like jungle route ever. I remember one of the games where it was like, oh,
mechanical as in brainless.
Yes.
Not mechanical as in like difficult execution.
Where like he's playing a tank jungler, he has to clear just every camp down to the bot side, and his middle and top laner stole the enemy team's Wraith camp so that the enemy team and like warded so they know exactly where the enemy jungler is, and he's behind like 10 seconds into his route, and so you're given like the best start as a jungler. And even with that kind of start, he's not impressing me.
The one reason that's not that big of a concern is because CLG played Envy 2 weeks ago, or week 8 of the regular season, and they crushed them. Minus like one game where they
did that.
Yeah, they did one of those plays.
Yeah.
And that's why we're saying like this could easily be a 3-1 because CLG are prone to those kind of plays.
But I think even with Omar, I think they'll still win. Even if Omar is the same level as he was 2 weeks ago. However, it's favorable for... It's definitely way favorable for CLG.
Yeah, I think, like we said, across the board, better individual players for the most part, as well as great teamwork. I like Envy's game plan in the mid to late game. I'm not sure what it is. You know, like how do they win fights late? I'm not even sure. Like CLG, it's like Afro makes a huge engage. Darshan might come up with a play. Even Huhi makes some plays. They have playmakers all over the place. Whereas like Envy, it's like Hakuho lands a hook or something. Maybe
it's
like
usually
like Niski outplays the other person's engage.
Yeah,
like stuff like that.
It's something really weird. But a lot of times it's Lero tries to do stuff, but like his team and him, like they go in on like different times, and he gets like chunked, picked, or dies when he does that, and they just lose. That's what I see a lot. Late game, Lyra's just like frontlining, maybe a little bit too far ahead, gets picked, and then they lose.
Yeah, they're just. It's not even like Lyra's playing it wrong or his team's playing it wrong. They're just like on different pages. Like Lyra's like, I'm aggressively invading for vision. I got hooked. Great, let's fight. And it's like your team's not near you, dude. Now you're just dead.
Yeah,
it's hard to know who's at fault.
So, Envy's not a complete package team at all. Actually, now that you say it, I don't even know how they win games.
Yeah, because, like, you know, a lot of teams have, like, a definitive way they win. Dig Barons, CLG engages, like TSM, just great team play in lanes, and then they transition to good team play out of lanes.
Yeah,
like
C9, they have laning monsters, and they can transition to team fights.
Yeah, and, like, Envy's, like, they're not great team fighters. Their early game has been good, but not dominant. Like, I don't know how they win. It's not to say they can't win, because CLG is prone to throws sometimes.
Yes, and especially with the new jungler who's playing at not a great level, they can definitely drop a couple games. I'm pretty confident CLG will win tomorrow, though.
All right, so both of us have CLG. Do you want to do a QA session just because it's relatively early? We haven't done one in a little while.
I'm down. You guys, if you guys have any questions you want to ask us, do you want to just do it through chat right here?
Yeah, we just do it through chat.
Whatever you guys are interested in, just tell us what you guys want to know from our collective minds. That's how I say it?
Collective mind.
We have two minds.
Yeah, but a collective would mean that it's together as a unit, as a single unit.
Yeah, but I still like the use of the S. All right, collective mind.
No Path of Exile questions.
How do I feel about the wild? I don't know the wildcard teams.
No, I will not do Silver Scrapes.
Can I bring Tafo back? No.
I mean, we could, but no, we're not going to. Should they have played Tarek more this series? I didn't feel like.
I just thought the combination of Twitch plus Blitz was not very good.
I could see Tarek being good just because how teamfight focused these games were, and Tarek's a monster in teamfight. So when you're fighting front to back and the other team pops their Sivir ult, you pop your Tarek ult. It would have been a great pick, but I didn't feel like it was the picks problem. It's like you're 10k gold up, and as you're trying to end the game, your 80 carry gets Talia W. Does Tarek fix that? Probably not.
No.
Yeah. These are all weird questions.
Yeah. A lot of people were just asking about SKT versus KT. I didn't see the series. So
I was watching game 1 and I fell asleep. I had on pretty low volume. I was laying in bed because I knew I had to get up in like 7 hours, and I passed out.
Yeah. I don't really know. I think
from what I heard, it's still on 7:15, so like champion wise, not much to say. None of the games lasted much longer than 30 minutes. Like every game is a stomp. I heard SKT reverse swept. That's sick. That's all I can say.
Yeah. I mean, I look at these games. This is kind of interesting. Dom made a good, interesting statement where he saw some of the games on the patch and he like doesn't like it. Like he thinks that they're really boring. How do you feel about watching games as a spectator on this current patch?
I mean, it depends, I think, how much you enjoy watching tanks. Because at the end of the day, most of these games are going to have 2 to 3 tanks on every side. And if you hate watching tanks,
That's me.
you're gonna hate this patch.
That's me.
I don't mind watching tanks.
I like it when tanks frontline well. Usually when I see like Someday play tanks, I'm just like, holy shit, his Maokai, great play.
Yeah, but it does make like one of the lanes boring. Cause yeah, I mean like game 4, Galio had like a 40 CS lead on the Maokai, which is like great, but it never results in anything other than like when we get to a team fight, I'll have a little bit more effective HP than you, which is like that's important, but it's not visually interesting, right?
What did you think about the fact that Arda and Sensor didn't see much play this series?
I think that was more a result of who the players were. I felt like, you know, Smoothie needs to be proactive for his team, so you saw him on Blitz 2 times, and you saw him on Alistar once, and one other motherfucker. I think that was what mattered to them, not necessarily just like, oh god. And Adrian will play whatever's best for the team. So like sometimes it was Thresh because they wanted to be more lane dominant. And then the last game was when they're like, dude, we just got to protect this Sivir, dude.
And he played it pretty well.
Yeah, so I think it's more of a symptom of who the players are because playmaking supports are still valuable. Why didn't C9 ban Maokai? That's a good question.
That's a question for Reaper.
You know, like I can see the argument that like, oh, we're scared that if we force him off Maokai, he'll play a skill matchup and then just destroy Impact. But Impact was playing well today.
Wasn't playing bad today.
He was playing fine. I think it's better to risk someday taking a strong champion and smashing Impact than it is to risk giving up Maokai again. Because I think that was a problem.
I'm just... A lot of people... Is Jensen still a serious contender for MVP after this series today? Dude, the MVP is in the normal season.
God. If you ask anything or say anything about Jensen not deserving MVP because he lost in quarters, you are just not a fully... Like, your brain is not fully... like aware, maybe not. I don't know how to say it, but just like it's regular season award.
My co-host is fairly toxic today.
I am super toxic all the time. I'm not a good person.
Oh man.
So I mean, if you vote for someone else, not Jensen, it's not like Jensen is a shoo-in, right? You know, it's not like I'm saying you have to vote for Jensen. But if you try and use today's performance as an argument against him, that's when I'm like, come on, dude.
A lot of people are asking what C9 should do with their team. And I'm just
I think I love that question, actually, because this team has failed to win.
That's true.
They have not won a split in 6 splits.
Okay, so...
See, they haven't won since 2014 summer, right?
Yeah. They've gotten close. They've been in finals
They've been in
twice.
a couple finals. I wouldn't say blow the team up, keep nobody.
How many people would you keep? Without spoiling who you keep, how many people would you keep on the team? I'd say maybe 3.
I would say, ooh, that's tough because I want to say 4. But I don't, maybe you do need some changes. Maybe you just need to shake things up. So, like, I think we agree, top, gone.
Yes.
Top needs an upgrade. I mean, Impact played fine this series, and I won't say that, like, he was a huge issue, but I think over the course of the split, he had problems. It went to his ideal meta towards the end of the split, and he was still, like, not super effective. And you're C9. You are the, premier of 2 orgs in NA. You can get a better top lane player if it's going to use an import slot, I think.
Same.
Who was the other one that you were thinking of getting rid of? Is it Sneaky?
I don't know. Because it's like, I don't think you can get an upgrade from Sneaky.
See, that's the thing.
Easily. Especially in their, like, current capability. Like, it's like, okay, well, do you like contracts where he is?
I think he had a good split. I think he had a bad series, but he's young. He's really, really young. It was his first full year in the LCS, and
So,
I would hesitate to get rid of him.
I mean, I guess for them, it'd probably be something like they expand. With franchising, you can expand substitute spots to hopefully be more useful. So you would take substitute spots for maybe like 2 more positions, and you would keep the 4-man roster with maybe switching out top lane.
Yeah, I think top lane for sure. What's weird is if you free up top lane, can you get a native player, get maybe an import AD carry? But import AD carries feel
I don't
a little like
import AD carries.
They feel too unimpactful.
Like, yes. So it's like when you import a role, there's a reason why the most imported role is mid lane. Because when you import like mid lane or like jungle, it's like when you import someone that is a spot, you need someone to like carry your team.
Yeah, and like Arrow managed to do it in spring, but then failed to do it in summer. So it's not even like a consistent thing. We're like, oh yeah, he had 2 great performances. It's like his team started sucking. He had some down games. I'm not sure what AD carry you can grab where he's just gonna like revitalize your team.
Yeah, usually all the imports are mid lane.
Yeah.
That's why like NA mid laners are like a meme because there's not many.
Yeah, there's none.
I'm a jungler now.
Oh yeah, that's right. What am I talking about? Yeah, and then Jensen, I don't think you get rid of him. I think he's a beast.
I think he's really good, but maybe like he's got his tendencies where he's relatively hard to play around, or maybe in certain situations. But I also think that like he's gotten better over time, and you might as well you should stick with him because I don't think you're importing that much of a better player, and I think he's actually improved a decent amount this split.
Yeah.
So compared to the splits before.
Yeah, I think he had a bit of a not breakout, but like an all-career split.
Yeah, I don't think you could say that Jensen choked this series. It's like he.
Yeah, how did he choke? Where like point to like a play where it was like the worst play I can think of from Jensen
was he was too far forward,
too close to the Maokai,
and he got picked, and that was like, or he got like initiated on.
Yeah, it was like Ep Baron. Twitch was off on the side. The Twitch comes out of stealth. Now the Twitch is on stealth. He wants to like walk forward to put some damage onto the front line. And someone CC'd the Maokai, and he walked up to put a Q on him. And the Maokai flashed the Q, W'd him. It was like, okay, some days a monster with engages. I get it.
Yeah, no.
I'm not sure of like what his other worst play was. He died sometimes, but like everyone fucking died.
Yeah, when you look at the series, like I generally thought he played very well. And people only can point to Jensen because it's like this perception that like he should be able to have no mistakes while 1v5 every game.
So what's super funny is people were like, Bjergsen had more player of the games. You only get player of the games in wins. TSM won way more games. And this other thing was, I was talking to a lot of people on the broadcast team, and they were all saying that they have a harder time giving it to Jensen because when his team wins, it's usually like who else stepped up. Because in their losses, he's like,
he's always doing
he's 5-0, he's 7-2. But in their wins, someone else has stepped up. So they said a lot of times when they have to pick player of the game, they often give it to the second guy because Jensen is always doing well. 2 more games, 4 more games, people can't even agree what they won.
Okay, well, we're done with C9. It's not a big deal. I think that like he's still a great player. I think that if you look for someone to replace, their top lane hasn't been playing well. Yep. During the normal season, they did step up near the end, but I don't necessarily know if that's a great position. I think going to franchising is potentially you can get someone else.
Yeah, I would think so too.
I think getting another experienced player to help behind the scenes to make sure like for like the respective roles might be better. So maybe positional coaching for more players would be better for that org. But I can say the same thing about everything else. Anyways, I think we're done with Q&A right now. Unless you want to keep going?
No, is there anything else worth talking about? Anything from Dig's side that was fun?
But for the most part, like, I'm just impressed with Dig, and I think they played a good series.
I would love if they beat TSM.
Yes.
I just want someone else in the finals.
Yeah, I think that's the thing about everyone,
Yeah.
It would suck from a league perspective, from a Riot's perspective, if TSM dropped before finals. But I don't care. I think that'd be hilarious.
I guess in some ways that would suck.
Right.
Like, I actually love that TSM is this behemoth in the league.
Yeah.
That, like, no, we make finals. We've made finals every split.
Yeah.
We are so good. I love that TSM's that good.
I'm sure that their fans are just like, so we already bought Boston tickets because they're going to be there.
They have the Patriots problem where it's like TSM is so good, the regular season bores them. It's literally the playoff waiting room.
When I see people complain about TSM in the regular season, I'm like, dude, you're complaining about a team that's going to make finals.
Yeah, it's just like
they're underperforming week 1. Oh wow, dude. Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Be careful now.
Yeah, like I love TSM's this dominant beast, but it also sets up the same time I want someone else to win.
Yeah, I think the next week's match, like TSM versus Dig, is going to be a really, really good match. Tomorrow's match, I don't have that many expectations for, but I hope Indy can impress. Like I don't really I like CLG as a team. I want them to win, but if Indy upsets, I think that'd be cool too. If they play really well, I'm down.
If it's Immortals, TSM, Dig, CLG, I think both those finals are good. CLG, TSM is probably still just super hyped from a rivalry perspective. I think from here, there's basically no bad finals you can get.
That's true. It might be we either see a final that we've never seen before, or we see CLG versus TSM, which is usually always good.
Yeah. I would love to see Tony versus Parth again.
Oh, I have so much respect for those two coaches.
Yeah.
Like I just think that those two coaches are just like top of the league. And
Did you watch the Parth dive thing?
I've watched a little bit of it. I pretty much agree with most of what he said.
Yeah.
In like the 5 to 10 minute clip that
My favorite thing was how politically he answered the question of like how important is pick ban for coaching.
Wait, what did he say in this?
So I forget which one asked him, but they're like, how important is pick ban for coaches? Like, because on the outside we say a lot about pick ban is the coach's responsibility, and Parth very politically answered the question, but he was basically like, that's something that Riot has created, that like coaches do pick ban. And he's like, that's not really the case.
Oh, I remember that where he's like, yeah, it used to be like coaches had like 100% decision making, but like in a lot of situations, like
no, he said he wants he said, and I think unless I'm misinterpreting his words, because he said that's something that Riot decided early on when they put coaches on stage, is that they wanted them in charge of pick ban. But that's not usually how it works, because players have like a lot more insight into like just like champions and decisions and stuff like that. So he's like, most coaches act as facilitators and final decision makers, but they're usually not the one with like the entire plan and stuff. So like I was just like, finally, like I'm sick of saying like, oh man, this coach sucked, look at this pick ban, Parth's a bad coach, his pick ban at MSI wasn't good. And I'm like,
that sometimes you work around player conditions a lot.
Yeah, you play around player, like, oh, we don't play Galio or something. You're like,
it's like Galio meta, you're like, oh, well.
He's the best player, he's the best champion in the game. You don't play the best champion in the game. It's like, well, I can't just pick it.
Yeah. And so, like, a lot of people think, like, oh, that's a coaching problem. You should make your player better at it. It's like, what if we've tried and he just sucks? Like,
yeah.
Like, situations happen where, like, people draft stuff optimally and you're just like, well.
Yeah, I mean, you should have practiced this. Like, we did. We just lost every scrim. You want me to ignore all my data and just not pick this, like what are you talking about? So anyways, I would just say it was a good interview. I love Parth. I love Tony.
I think Parth and Tony are just great. Like, super good. Both people. I will be sad that when either of them step down, because I hope they don't step down anytime soon. I think that they have a lot of room to be able to like work with stuff for the next couple of years.
I'm scared. I'm scared with that statement. I hope they don't step down either, but
anyways, thank you guys for watching. This has been Greatest League Talk Show. If you want to see more, you can find us on YouTube, Greatest League, youtube.com/Greatest League TS.
Check out Offline TV as well.
Oh, yes, my newest endeavor with these guys, where we do stuff that's not video games.
Yeah, we went rock climbing recently.
Your hair is just messed up.
Yeah,
sorry. I just completely sidetracked.
I just rubbed it. It was fun. Some of us were good. Some of us were bad.
Yeah. Well, anyways, check it out everywhere, especially on social media. We'll see you guys tomorrow where we cover CLG versus Envy right after the games, right here.
Yes, I will be back very quickly, and that's gonna do it. We didn't put the topic today, man. We're so lazy. What were we talking about today? Who knows? Is this a thing?
Nope.
No, that's not a thing. That's not a thing.
You can just exit. You should just disable the.
Whoa! It disappeared.
No. Just go. There we go. And
No. This one.
Yeah, and then you just take off the.
Yeah, there we go.
Perfect.
We got it.
And then mute it.
Bye, guys.
top tier player at 4 different games, and he's like the biggest.
So wait, you like furries?
Nah.